We'll now look at exporting property sets from within the setup of the IFC Exporter. Under property sets, I have a number of options that I can use when exporting the Revit properties to IFC. If I select Export Revit Property Sets, this will export all Revit properties for type and instance parameters and will create a property set per group. I would avoid selecting this at all costs, as it will export a large amount of potentially irrelevant data or duplicated data that is not applicable to the use that the model is being issued for. It can also increase the time taken to export the model and also vastly increase the file size. Having a look at an example, if I select this wall, I can see the large number of properties and property sets that have been exported, and you'll recognize a lot of the Revit parameters have been exported. Additionally, here I have a duplication of classification information that I have already exported to the correct IFC classification reference using the correct classification parameters. As I scroll down, I can see the number of parameters that have been exported, and unless there is a specific need for these parameters, I would avoid exporting them all. If I tick Export IFC Common Property Sets, this will export all the IFC common property sets applicable to each IFC class. Even if I have added the standard IFC properties into the families or the project, these will still not be exported. The same can be said for base quantities. This will export the base quantities auto-generated from the model, and also including the additional override parameters I've added. When it is unticked or deselected, it will not export any base quantities, including the ones where I have added additional quantity parameters for in Revit. If I select Export Schedules as property sets, it will export a property set for each of the schedules that I've created in the model. I can filter this schedule list down to only export schedules containing IFC, PSET or Common in the title. So notice I have a Furniture Schedule -IFC schedule. When exported to IFC, I will select a furniture component, and notice there is now a property set called Furniture Schedule -IFC with the fields or columns that are contained within the schedule exported as individual properties within that property set. Because the parameters are type parameters in Revit, there is a property set under the IFC Furniture type and under the IFC Furniture occurrence. The Export User-Defined Property Sets uses a text file to specify the Revit property, the IFC class the properties should be associated to, and the corresponding IFC property. For example, I have a door schedule here which I have produced and will issue to the door manufacturer. If I select the door, I have a number of parameters that are used to populate the door schedule, both at the instance and type level, all prefixed with MT. I also want to export the comments parameter from multiple elements and categories to a single IFC property. So let's have a look how we can do that with the user-defined property sets. I'll go to File, Export, IFC, and in the property sets I will select Export User-Defined Property Sets, In the IFC Exporter contents folder for 2022, there is a default user-defined parameter sets that I'm going to copy, navigate to the desktop, and paste. I'll then just prefix this with empty user-defined parameter sets. I'll now right-click and I'll open and edit this with a text editor. And here we have the user-defined parameter sets as a template. The format is described here, but I'll go through an example now. And there is an example property set definition for Kobe. I'll put that to the bottom for the time being. So firstly, I need to specify the property set. So I'll type in the word property set, and then a semicolon, and then a tab. I can then type in the property set name. So I'll type in additional door materials. I then need to press tab and specify whether these are instance or type parameters in Revit. They are T. So I will specify and type T. And then press tab again, and now I can associate the element list that I wish to apply the properties to. So this will be IFC door type. I can use multiple IFC classes, for example, IFC window type, etc. So once this is completed, press enter and then press tab. I then need to define the IFC property name that I wish to define. So I will type frame finish, then press tab. I now need to define the unit type. This will be IFC label. And now I finally need to specify the Revit parameter that I wish to translate to the frame finish IFC property. So this will be empty door frame finish. I can then select enter, type another IFC property, tab, the unit type, and then the Revit property. I now want to create another property set, making sure that I put a hash symbol where there is a blank line. The property set name will be additional door properties, and these will be the instance parameters. So I'll type just a capital I, and then this will be to the IFC door element because it is to the individual occurrence. I can then go ahead and type the IFC property names, type, and Revit names. I have now added two additional property sets, one for the ironmongery set, taking the ironmongery type parameter. The has access control, note that in Revit this is a yes/no parameter and therefore can be specified as an IFC Boolean data type. And I'm also going to export the built-in parameter sill height as a IFC sill height parameter or property. I've also added another property set called additional common, and I will be associating this to each IFC element. So every element or subclass under IFC element, so door, furniture, sanitary terminal, etc. I want this IFC parameter or property to be called comments, and because it is the same as the Revit parameter, there is no need for me to complete the Revit parameter name here. Once I've saved this file, I can then close. I can open and specify as the user-defined export property sets file. Select OK and export. Now when I open the IFC and select a door, under the IFC door type I have the type properties for the materials under the additional door materials property set, and in the occurrence of IFC door I have the same additional door materials, but I also have the additional door properties for has access control and ironmongery set. Notice the has access control is a Boolean value, and I also have the additional common property set with the comments property also in the IFC door. If I select piece of furniture, note that I also have the additional common property set with the comments property with the value inside. So because IFC furniture and IFC door are all part of IFC element, the comments parameter will be exported to all of these IFC classes. I have since added another parameter for my doors for the security rating. Note that in the pset door common there is a property called security rating already available, and therefore I should use this property rather than create a new property under a new property set. Therefore, if I go to my IFC export settings and go to the property sets, I can use the export parameter mapping table to select a parameter mapping text file where I can map a particular Revit parameter to an already existing IFC property. I will edit this in Notepad. Note that it is pretty much the same format as the user-defined property set. All I need to do on a line is specify the name of the property set, so pset door common, then tab, then type in the IFC property name, and then press tab again, and the Revit parameter that I wish to map to that IFC property. So I have the property set name, the IFC property, and the Revit parameter. I will save this text file, close, select this parameter mapping text file, select OK, and re-export. And now if I select the door, I can see that under the pset door common, the security rating property has been added with the value that was specified in the Revit parameter, like so. So that completes this video on how to map Revit parameters to IFC properties and property sets using the IFC settings in the exporter.